All right, gang, welcome to the second session. I want to also address another question that I had, and that was how to incorporate more midtones. And I think it's an excellent question, and it takes some work, but and practice too. But I wanted to address this for you because I think it's something that we need to think about when we're drawing. So one thing I've been noticing in some of the sketchbook drawings is that there are things in the drawing that will have the same range of values. Um, for example, the this section will have the same range of values as this section and this section. And so what happens is in some of the drawings that I'm seeing is everything has the same range from lightest to darkest. So not everything kind of looks the same color. The walls look the same color as a table, or the walls look the same color as the floor, and we know that they're not the same color. And the way um, to establish um, those values, different values in the drawing, is to figure out the range of each individual um, shape or object. So what I would like to do is I'm actually going back. I'm leaving my sort of rendering tools to the chamois and probably my cloth and charcoal. And what this is great for is if I look at this section here, I can see that here's the darkest area and here's the lightest area. So what I can do is I can fix the range and adjust it so that things stand out more. So I agree when I look at my reference that this should be this dark, but in some areas I think it needs to be a little lighter. And so what's nice about this is normally we would just wrap this around our finger and go at it. But the thing is that this has a square edge on it, or fairly square, so I can use that when I want to do a very specific area that has a straight edge. Okay, so I'm going to use it to sort of pull this area out. And you can see what that does. I hope so. Let's see. Okay. Here, I'll lift this up a little. Okay. So what I did was I just kind of dragged it right across here. I'm kind of going to smooth this out just a little bit, and I think you'll see it'll give it a little more air, and it pushes it back a little bit. Okay, and it gets a little dark in this corner. Maybe that was from me rendering, but let's see what happens when we kind of lighten it up. Just separate it here a little bit. And so what I'm doing is I'm kind of evening out the midtone, and I'm making it go from lighter to a little bit darker. It's giving a little more breadth. It's working both sides of those edges because I worked this edge side already. So I'm going to kind of work that side. All right. Now I think it needs to be a little bit lighter in through here. That gives a little bit of air, maybe a little bit in here. All right. So I'm using the chamois for these really subtle shift areas. Let's see if there's any other place. Let's see. I think over here needs to be worked. It's too similar all the way through. Let me move this back down. So I think over here needs to be worked. It's too similar all the way through. And so what I want to do is I want to look at this space and really study what it does. And so now that I'm looking, it gets a little darker in here. And I'm just going to go to the still life one more time. Double check that. Yep, it gets a little lighter here and then a little bit darker just right here, and I think that'll help lift that table up. So I'll go ahead and I'll use that chamois just to lighten it up just a little bit. This was also a bit lighter, so I'll drag that chamois right down. Okay. this out a little. Now what I'm noticing is that this highlight is the same as this. So I need to figure that part out. I'm going to go back to the still life and see which one's lighter. No doubt this. So now I can kind of re-evaluate my lights. You can see now that this is coming forward. I'm skipping around in the drawing a lot, mostly because this is informing this, and this, and this. And that's what you want. The more places you can really jump around in, the more you're going to relate them to each other, and the better your drawing will work as a whole. So I mentioned that this is a little bit darker in through here. I'm going to have a seat, kind of rework some of this area. I've got my Conti just really lightly adding some darks, just super lightly. And I might try and spread that a little bit. I'm kind of going this direction because I want this wall to go that way. I want to separate this wall. All right. That was the second question I wanted to address today. I hope you can see how this is really helping my drawing become more spatial. And I don't want you guys to think that you're sending me necessarily finished drawings. It's why most of the time on Mondays you'll send me your drawings and I'll give you feedback for you to rework on Wednesday. I don't want these drawings done in one step. I really want you to revisit them so that you can really develop these things over time. It takes time and it takes familiarity. You really have to get to know what you're looking at and really break it down, and so that you become familiar with seeing these things. And so that's it for this installment.